As leaders in organizations, we really need to learn how to ignite our teams for change. And last week, we introduced the TEDA model, which stands for Transparency, Empathy, Diversity, and Amplifying. This is a model that we've come up with at Bessern, and a model that we use quite often with our clients that we work with. Last week, we discussed transparency. This week, we're going to focus on empathy. And empathy is essentially the ability to put yourself in the shoes of another person. So Yvonne, lately we've been hearing a lot of focus from a leadership perspective on, leading with empathy. So it's been important for some time, but why is it that we're now seeing this emerge in a workplace more than ever before? What is the importance of it?
So, work in the way how people get motivated to accomplish their job has drastically evolved in the last years. If you think about it, we started to do work to survive. So meaning that we get a salary and food in the table, and that's the reward. And this is quite simple. And employees needed to accomplish routine tasks in exchange of money. Later on, the tasks became more complex, needing more of our cognitive processes, like creativity and more demand and the thinking versus the doing. The rise of professions that require more creativity, cognitive process, more reflection, made that our brain requires to use an expanded area, and that is not easy to access when you just have a standard type of motivation like just a salary. Like if I do this, I will get that, the famous carrot in the stick. Today, to reach goals, employees are craving for more empathic approaches that drives them towards deciding more by themselves what they to do, that drives them to say, how can I have something that is challenging enough, but I can realistically succeed? And the last point that is super important is the sense of understanding the reason why we're doing something and we know that is very related to us. The needs are different, but now what should we do in order to develop this empathy with our teams, Elena?
Yes, and to put it into practice, if you want to further sort of enhance empathy and essentially vulnerability in your leadership style, you can start with a few following tips. Number one, self-awareness. It's really important how your actions will affect the people around you and what can be the consequences of it. So self-awareness is a great way to find out about who you are, how you relate to others, and become aware of your own sort of limitations and strengths as well. Number two, of course, listen, taking time to get to know your team members individually. Everyone has a story, and that story determines their drivers, their motivations, their values, and much more, which will help you understand that individual better and create an environment where they can thrive. Being mindful is the next one, is really when speaking with your team members, create a safe space for them to speak out, right? Are they, what are you saying? How are you speaking to them? Right? So what impacts will your words say? Will your words have on your team members, right? So just keep in mind and be conscious of how you respond with your team members, either face-to-face or via virtual interactions. Also, it's important to ask questions. Give your team members the floor and lead on the projects. Let them share their ideas and implement. Inquire how they believe a particular project can be done, for example. What would they do differently? And finally, give back to community. Try to organize an opportunity for your team to participate in a cause that is close to them or in the kind of business that you're in. Creating the space for your team to give back to their communities, whether virtual or face-to-face, this will really go a long way to bring them together and further create that healthy, thriving work environment. So these just a few tips you can start implementing today.
Looking forward for next week. So next week we have diversity. So which means a little bit more than just having a couple of people with different nationalities, right?
Absolutely.